Dan, we got to start the show, though, by talking about the Final Four last night. And what a terrible night it was for everybody who thought that this NCAA tournament has been a dud, because last night showed once again why March Madness is the greatest sporting event on the planet, Den, because either two things happen every single year. Either we get upsets, and it's awesome, and that's why we love the tournament, because we love these Cinderella teams, and we love these underdogs making deep runs and upsets and all this stuff. Or you get the chalky tournament, like we have this year, and then you get yourself two epic Final Four games with the four best teams in the country, and last night did not disappoint. Florida pulls out a win against Auburn, and then Houston. You and I were sitting here before the show started with our producer Addie as well, and we're just like, we still don't know how Duke lost that game. Just an epic collapse by the Dukies last night.
Yo, I feel bad for Yankee fans and Cowboy fans because they had to watch their favorite college basketball team take a number 2 on the bed. They went into like the final 10 minutes, PJ, with me wondering if I'm going to go to bed early. Like, all right, it's double digits. One team is Cooper flag, the other team does not.
Yep.
This one should be over. Like, this should not be a game when all is said and done. But I was loyal to the soil. I was like, let me just stay up for a couple more minutes, and then the lead was cut down. And then a couple more minutes, and then the lead was cut down. Yet still, like, Houston was never in a spot where they could strike until the final, 4 seconds of the game. And it was the craziest thing in the world. I know there's a lot of people that were, losing their mind on social media because of that foul call on Cooper flag. That was it a foul? Was it not a foul? You can argue in the comments. Dog, they didn't score for, the final 7 minutes, Duke. They couldn't hit a shot. I don't give a damn if that was a foul or it wasn't. You have to make a shot, and they just couldn't do it with the best player in the country, one of the best players that we've seen in college basketball in years, and they could not score. I thought he got a good look on what could have been the go-ahead bucket, and he just couldn't hit it. I am embarrassed if I am Duke. I'd said all these nice things about him. I was wondering, are they likable? I got way outside myself. I should have known that Duke isn't likable. I should have known that this was going to happen, and there's not a fan base that deserves it more. I'm glad they got their heart ripped out last night.
Do you guys want to take a guess at how many field goals Duke made in the final minute 30 of that game? You want to take a guess?
0.
You think 0? Addie,
0.
how many field goals do you think Duke made in the final 10 minutes and 30 seconds of that game?
If I had to remember, 1.
That's correct.
Yes.
1. 1 field goal in the final 10 and a half minutes of the game. And they still should have won comfortably. If they don't turn the ball over and they make their free throws, they still win that game. Everything I thought about those two teams coming into that game last night played out to be true. Duke was the best team in the country.
Yeah.
Ridiculous talent. 3 lottery picks. Best team in the sport. But if you can get them in a close game in the final 2 minutes, that's how you can beat them. Duke now finished the season 1-4 in games decided by 6 points or less when Cooper flag played. 1-4. They're so good that they just blow everybody out. But if you can get them in a close game, their whole team is pretty much made up of freshmen. And you saw it last night, especially on the biggest stage, man. Those kids miss free throws, turnovers, fouls.
Yeah, the inbound situation was unreal.
Then they did all the things that you do to lose a game. So, it's brutal that Duke had to lose that way. But when I was talking about that game on my show all week, I said if you like Duke, lay the 5.5 with them. Bet the spread. If you like Houston, just take them outright. If that game is decided by 2-3 points, I don't think Duke is going to win. If the game is 2-3 points, Houston's going to win because Duke doesn't have experience playing in close games, and that's exactly what happened. And all year we've been talking about how bad the ACC is. And it never hurt Duke up until yesterday because Duke is just so good and they have so much talent. But when they finally went up against a team that was able to keep it close with them, it's like the same thing with all those Gonzaga teams, Denton, all those great teams that Mark Few had, right? Like they play in that conference where they're so much better than everybody else, and they dominate everybody for 3 months, and then you get them into a March Madness game in the last 2 minutes, and they just get super tight, right?
They get
and
super
all
tight.
the pressure's on them, and that's what happened to Duke last night.
I mean, listen to these numbers, PJ. With 8:03 left in the game, Duke led by 14. With 2:06 left in the game, Duke led by 9. With 34 seconds left in the game, they led by 6. That should be game over. You lead by 6 with 34 seconds. At the worst, you're winning by 4. With free throws, you might win by 9, right?
Yep.
And just really destroy someone who bet a Houston 5.5, or maybe make someone's night happy who bet a Duke 5.5. With 25 seconds, they led by 3 with 19 seconds left. They led by 1 and they lost the game. I mean, unbelievable for a team that, like, I thought that John Shire had done a really good job in coaching this year.
Totally agree.
And the way that on an inbound, basic stuff, they just couldn't get anything. I mean, you're pushing 5 seconds. You're turning the basketball over. And they did one of my least favorite things across all elements of sports. I hate a full court heave Hail Mary inbound in basketball.
Especially with 3 seconds left.
With three seconds is an eternity, but just generally speaking, I love a Hail Mary in the NFL.
I'm sure as a Commanders fan, I'm sure
What's
you
the
do.
most recent one that we saw? It was Jaden
Yes.
Daniels. But, like, if you watch that back, and I've examined that to lengths that you wouldn't even believe, you see a guy royally mistime jump.
Mm-hmm.
You see multiple guys royally mistime a jump. You know who's not going to mistime a jump? Basketball players. It's like a key component to the game that they are playing. Football guy, you're not jumping a lot if you're DBs. Like, you might jump once or twice to deflect something, but when that ball's hanging in the air, you're not used to jumping, you're tracking it.
Right.
These guys are used to jumping, so you're throwing it to a bunch of tall MFers that all know how to jump and how to track a ball in the air, and naturally you don't get your hand on it. Now, they still did somehow, like, get a halfway decent look if Proctor didn't kind of go a little wonky. Like, I still thought he touched the ball, I think, with like 1.3 seconds left. He had plenty of time to turn and, get a nice shot off. But I hate with 3.7 seconds left, a full court heave. It just never works.
It's true. I'm with you. That was shocking to see that with like 3 seconds left. I mean, Duke could have thrown the ball just before half court because Houston does not foul when they're up by 3. We talk about that debate all the time, right, in basketball. Like, if a team's up 3, should they foul and even prevent them the opportunity to try a game-tying 3? Houston never fouls. They always play it out. They rely on their defense. So, like, I understand maybe that strategy if you're Duke and, like, you're trying to get a 3-point shot up and you don't want to go to the free throw line, but you're playing against a team that doesn't foul when they're up 3. So, to your point, man.
And you have to know that because it's not like there are certain instances in the tournament where you get 24 hours and then you're right back out there. This was not that. You had a full week of preparation to understand the ins and the outs, the routines, what Houston likes to do, what Houston, as you mentioned, does not do on a regular basis. There was nothing to suggest that they were going to go outside themselves. That's one of the things that Kelvin Sampson's been really, really good at. They know exactly who they are, and they're going to play who they are. That has been kind of a detriment, I feel like, at times in years past. But this time it worked out in their favor. You just have to understand that if you're Duke. And then, as you mentioned, make your shots. I mean, if you're going to hit one field goal in the final 90 seconds, you're not going to win.
That, to me, I mean, with all that talent, I know Houston's defense is good, man. But, I mean, Duke is just so good offensively. They should not go through that long of a period with only making one field goal. So it's crazy. Crazy comeback by Houston last night. I saw some tickets on X. People got Houston as high as 80-1 on the money line, 60-1, 40-1. So, you could have made some
more
good
power
money.
to them.
Some good money last night cashing the Houston Cougars. This is Inside the Betting Lines here on the BetMGM Network, presented by BetMGM, PJ Glasser and Denton Day. We also had another semifinal last night, which was a really good game as well, with Florida and Auburn. Denton, I do have to give myself a pat on the back because I kind of handicapped both of these games to perfection. I said Houston, Duke. You like Duke, lay the points. If you like Houston, just bet them outright because if it's a close game, Duke's probably going to lose. Auburn, Florida, my handicap is the game's probably going to come down to the wire. And Florida's got Walter Clayton Jr. and Auburn doesn't. And it's that simple. And that's pretty much how the game played out. Walter Clayton had 34 points last night. High-scoring first half, 46-38. And then in the second half, Auburn only 27 points. Florida had 41 points. This Walter Clayton dude, though, I mean, oh, my God. Dan, I think he's the most clutch college player I've seen since Kemba Walker. It is unbelievable, this dude. In crunch time, game on the line, he does it versus UConn, he does it versus Texas Tech, he does it versus Auburn. Like, every time the game is close, you just expect him to score. You expect him to make a bucket. There's been a lot of talk about, you look at these NBA mock drafts, and he's not even projected to get drafted into the NBA. If Walter Clayton Jr. isn't an NBA player, what are we doing? How is that guy not an NBA player? It's not like he's hitting wide open, layups or jump shots or three-pointers, catch and shoot. He's going off the dribble, contested, coming off screens. He's unbelievable.
Watch the tape, man. That's
he's
all it comes down to.
he's unbelievable.
Watch the tape. He has that takeover gene that you're right. We don't see this a lot in college players. Kemba Walker's a great example. I think we've seen a few other guys recently, but never at this level because he's doing this in the biggest games. Like, it's one thing to have a takeover gene in February, but it's a completely different element now to have it in April when everyone is watching, when the lights are the brightest. I mean, from this point forward, obviously there's only one game left, but after a week ago, every game moving forward was going to be the biggest game of his life. And it feels like he rose to that standard every single time. I feel like there are going to be some really good prop numbers for him. Now, that Houston defense is really good, but that's something you have to look at because he is the one. This is why we say every single year, PJ, you got to have great guard play. You got to have great guard play.
Yes.
Guard play is really what separates the good teams from the great teams, from the championship caliber teams. Walter Clayton is a perfect example of that because when you have a stretch where you need a bucket, I want the ball in his hands.
100%. And, a big part of the game, too, was Janai Broome just kind of ran out of gas in the second half for Auburn. He was so great in the first half. We know he suffered those injuries in the second half against Michigan State. Elbow injury, looked like an ankle injury, too. Awesome in the first half. Finished with 15 points. Baker Mazzara, this was his best game of the tournament, 18 points, but what really hurt them was Pettiford was only 1 for 6 from the field, 7 points. Miles Kelly, 8 points. Denver Jones, 10 points as well. So Florida advances to take on Houston in the national championship game. Florida is a 1.5-point favorite with a total of 145.5. We will preview the championship game